Media 21. We're going live today. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for tuning in with me and things. I did go live um, a few days ago. I went live twice because there was still some information I needed to get out. There's a lot going on, y'all. There's a lot going on with Jane Doe, her taking the stand, being on the stand, what she's talking about, what she's exposing, her relationship with Diddy, the cross examination, how the cross examinations went. There's definitely a lot going on. Um, Trying to trip her up, wanting her just to say yes or no's, not wanting her to explain herself. So, she became frustrated. She became frustrated on the stand, and we get it. Um, at a certain point, I'll no, I'll go ahead and say it now. At a certain point, she had said, "I don't want to do an FO," and Diddy was like, "Okay, cool." But then he was like, "No problem." But then he had someone try to contact her to do an FO. So she learned that on the stand that behind her back, he was trying to have her do FOs. But let's go ahead, get through the disclaimer. Then we're going to get to Jane Doe's testimony. A lot's going on, and there was delays yesterday because a lot's going on. So let's go ahead. Let me get my disclaimer going on. But good morning, everyone. Come on in. Like the video as you guys come in. I appreciate you all being here. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. Let's see. Did that go through? Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm back. For some odd reason, I'm not certain why the disclaimer did not post. Okay, so we're about to do the disclaimer. Yeah, there's a lot going on in court in regards to Jane Doe's testimony. What was being alleged, what was being reported, and like I said, there was major delays yesterday. Okay, it's important to know that Jane Doe is to remain anonymous. It's important to say that Mia is to remain anonymous. There's a lot that's going on. There was delays yesterday because allegedly they're stating someone tried to get into the courtroom. Can't confirm or deny, because if someone tried to get into courtroom and it was blocked or they weren't able to go into the courtroom, how is it that nobody saw that person outside the courtroom going into the courtroom and then them not speaking to the press? So I take things with a grain of salt. And to protect the witnesses, it's important to know that Jane Doe is to be protected. The courts are trying to pay attention, allegedly, to different pages that may be trying to expose who she is because there's so much going on inside the courtroom, outside the courtroom. So we're just going to maintain that Jane is to be anonymous, period. That's how we're going to handle things. My page is a little different. I don't always have to be first. I don't always have to, I try to find sources from 3 to 4 different pages. So it's important to maintain someone that is taking the stand to testify, and it's important for us to realize that there's a lot going on, and it's important to realize that Diddy had different situations with different women, and the expectation of what he wanted from those women. Interesting. Now, is Jane trying to be kind and considerate because maybe if he does get out at some point in time, is she still wanting a relationship with him? And I asked myself that. And then her hugging different attorneys as she's leaving out. What? There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And to protect my page, I'm gonna be general about stuff. Y'all seeing what's out there. You seen what's out there. But the biggest thing is Jane Doe's testimony has been going on for days. And did Jane Doe's testimony go on for days because they're not able to find somebody else that was supposed to be testifying? And why aren't they talking about that? Why isn't the courts not talking about allegedly the other person that may have been expected to testify before Jane? So did they have Jane on the stand that long because there was space there for somebody else and they had to prolong Jane's testimony? And how is it that they're not addressing that there's another person that's supposed to be testifying? Okay, I'm trying to be cool. Okay, and this is the other thing I always say. Did he innocent to proven guilty in a court of law? A judge, jury's going to have to decide if there's any wrongdoing on Diddy's side. It's not for me to decide, but there's so much going on. There's stuff going on in LA. There's stuff going on at night in New York. And there's so many distractions. I had said that there's going to be many distractions. I just did not expect it to be this type of distractions, but there's a lot of distractions going on. So many people are happy that Jane Doe is off the stand and she's done. She's done for now. Now, I'm going to have to find out who's the next person to take the stand, but we want to hear from celebrities. We want to hear from people that work for him. And if there is another woman that he dated, we want to hear from her too. In the last 10 years, Diddy dated many women. He did. So I'm hoping that they've been able to pull anybody that he went public with for them to take the stand as well. Sorry, for those women to take the stand as well. And we realized in the last 3 years who he was dating. Will she have to take the stand? And if she don't, that's going to be a side eye. Okay, we're going to get to the video in regards to what's being talked about. There was delays the day before that they went. The judge, I think they went. There was a delay the day before as well, where they didn't start until almost 11. And then there was delays yesterday where people were pulled out of alleged the courtroom and they were talking to the judge. There's a lot going on. And then there's alleged issues in regards to certain things being removed from the transcripts because people are pulling the transcripts, reading the transcripts, and reading what inner city press is saying. So there's, like I said, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Hugging different attorneys as Jane leaves the stand. But okay, let's get to some of these clips. I appreciate you all for being here. Like the video as you guys come in. Don't forget to subscribe. But yeah, this case, and then there's a lot of other cases that's going on. And isn't it interesting that there's a lot of cases going on around the same time? That's very interesting to me too. It is. Okay.
Reading those texts. Now, the prosecution says they expect the defense in the Sean Diddy Combs trial is finishing cross-examination of one of the rapper's ex-girlfriends and lawyer for the woman testifying to show she willingly took part in Combs' sex life and is not the victim of force or coercion. At one point, she cried so hard on the witness stand she couldn't even finish reading those texts.
And there was times that she was crying so hard because she still has love for him because allegedly Diddy is paying one of the Jane Doe's rent, and allegedly he was paying for her attorneys. So at one point, Jane was more so on this side, and then she switched and she went on this side. So that's what I'm saying. Is she wanting to try and remain in a relationship with Diddy? Because if he does get out, is she still wanting a relationship? This is the other thing that's talked about, y'all. Let me get to it. I'm cooking. They're stating once Cassie's lawsuit came out, Diddy changed, and he was kinder to Jane. He was kinder to Jane, and he was spending more quality time with Jane, and his attitude was different. He was nice. So this is the other thing. Jane at times looking up, testifying, and then when certain questions was asked, and then she's only able to say yes or no, then she starts putting her head down. But the biggest thing is Jane did not know, even though Diddy was saying, okay, cool, you don't want to do an FO? Cool. But then he had contacted someone to contact her to try and make her do an FO. The situationship in regards to a man wanting his woman to be with other men outside of him and the relationship is concerning. But like I said, he's innocent till proven guilty. I have to say it. to protect my page. But this whole situation is interesting. The next person that's testifying, and it's a Friday, that means they're going to have to stay within town. If they're just to testify today, then they leave. But if they have to testify again on Monday, that means they have to stay till Monday. Interesting. Watch the play, y'all. Because are they making Jane take the stand so long because somebody else is supposed to be in her place? And Jane was maybe only supposed to be on the stand for a short period, but then somebody else did not show up. That's going to be interesting if the other girlfriend alleged does not show up. And how does that play in regards to a person just being MIA? Okay, so let's get to this.
Prosecution says they expect to arrest the
Fair use reaction clip. Please like the video as you guys come in. Just double tap the screen for me. Double tap the screen. It's free to hit the like. Thank you. Let's continue.
case next week. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges. ABC's Rena Roy and legal contributor, criminal defense attorney Shauna Lloyd are outside that courthouse. So, Rena, what's the latest on this private meeting?
Well, Diane, we know that there were several issues discussed behind closed doors, and that one of them involved whether or not non-alleged victims who take the stand can use pseudonyms. Defense attorney Mark Agnifilo argued that they should go on the record with their real name so that when someone hears about testimony who's outside of the trial and they might have information about that testimony, that they can come forward and offer to testify. And they were specifically discussing an issue from 2024 when Jane testified that she flew to Las Vegas with a friend of hers who's a famous rapper and then went to a hotel room where she saw a male escort named Anton having sex with a woman and his girl.
So then she's also talking about people she's interacting with and they're having relations. So then people are figuring stuff out and they're looking stuff up. So will there be another Jane Doe 2? Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip. She's spilling the beans on other people that may not want to be talked about. So that's a concern in court as well. Talking about different rappers. So we can't confirm or deny who the rapper is. We can't confirm or deny. And then she's talking about other people having relations. So who's to say her telling that other people are having relations around that time frame, if that's going to mess up their relationship? So there's a lot going on in regards to that's why they want her to say yes or no and not go into detail about certain stuff. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Friend watched. She testified that that escort was somebody that she previously had a hotel night with along with Combs. The prosecution, though, wants to keep those pseudonyms, and they say that sufficient information about that event specifically and about Jane have been disclosed. Diane.
Shauna, what does this mean for the trial going forward?
What this means going forward is essentially the defense is lodging this idea. Trials are supposed to be public. They are open to everyone to come and see. And the reason historically has been so that information can be gotten from anyone who knows about it. Now, they're arguing that this is an infringement on Jane's privacy because these are people that she's connected to and events that she participated in. The defense is rebutting that, though. They want these names to be public because what they're saying is if there is some information out there that could either be used to impeach her or discredit some of the testimony that is being given, that they want those people to come forward. So this could change the dynamic and the credibility of her if they come forward.
Shauna, the prosecution said yesterday they expect to rest the case next week, Wednesday or Friday, depending, but by Friday, they say. What are you watching for as the defense starts calling witnesses?
So what I'm expecting for when the prosecution wraps up is someone to bring it all together. There's either going to be a personal assistant, a bodyguard, or someone who's going to bring all of these events together. For the defense, I expect that they're going to bring forth witnesses that are going to rebut everything that we've heard. They're going to either be witnesses that have seen firsthand and have a different point of view, or witnesses that can impeach any of the testimony that's been given, so that way they start and increase that reasonable doubt that they are looking for.
All right, Rena Roy, Shauna Lloyd, thank you.
So that's coming from ABC News. That's the biggest thing. Jane Doe's testimony, very interesting. You know, like I said, is she still seeking a relationship with him after if he gets released? When she was leaving the stand, they also talked about how Diddy's reaction would be when she was talking about washing him up and loving on him. But then when she would get emotional, sometimes his head would be down as well. So there's definitely a lot going on in regards to his emotion, her emotions. Did they really love each other? She was very frustrated that Diddy was having trips and buying cars and doing a lot of stuff for other women that he did not do for Jane. And Jane became very jealous and upset. But then he started spending quality time with Jane after the Cassie lawsuit. They said he changed a little bit. So not surprised about that.
From Richard Ezios, excuse me, and it says, can you please dive in and elaborate about this?
Fair use reaction clip. Let's get to it.
Bombshell phone evidence that was filed June 9th by the prosecution that they're trying to bring in. Do you know what this is about, what this could be about?
Yeah, so I think it kind of could possibly be about, as far as the prosecution goes, is that the government wanted to enter some note entries that Jane had made in her phone. This was after Cassie's lawsuit, and they wanted to bring this up under redirect. And so there was kind of some arguments about it this morning, but it seems like from the government's perspective, they really wanted to get in one particular, at least sentence from this voice note or from this note in Jane's phone app, where Jane had expressed in December of 2023 that she felt manipulated and she felt obligated to be doing these hotel nights about 98% of the time. The government, in their argument this morning, was saying this kind of rebuts the cross-examination as far as Jane, as far as the questions that the defense was kind of posing to Jane as far as just her willingness to participate in these hotel nights. But according to the government, they want to use this particular sentence, at least from my understanding of it, just so that way they can kind of help rebut this under redirect. However, they should have possibly introduced this under direct, but I think given where the cross-examination has gone, that they were trying to introduce more exhibits as well too. But it seems like from their perspective that they just wanted that one little piece of sentence, because it seemed like the judge didn't want all of these exhibits to be put in under redirect. But the judge said that he'll reserve his ruling as to that one sentence. So we don't know if that sentence will be admitted, if the jury will hear this particular note yet, but I believe that is the answer to your question, and I hope I answered it well.
Okay, what about this? We got a question from Michaela, and this is really interesting because I can't get a sense of it either based on the reporting. Do we know why testimony was delayed today? I saw it was due to an unknown issue, but wanted to ask if you may have heard anything. I mean, this just came up again right before the break. It seems that the judge had even wanted, or the prosecution even wanted, Sean Combs to be a part of this meeting. That is, there was some issue that was discussed in the roving room. They have concerns. Do you have any idea what is going on in the judge's chambers?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I have no idea what's going on, and I think a lot of us have been kind of scrambling to figure out what exactly is happening, because it seems like from both sides they're being very tight-lipped about this. But from the defense's perspective, Sean Combs wasn't in the back for the conversations that were had in the roving room or the chambers room, and it wasn't being transcribed either, so he wasn't able to follow along. So from the defense's perspective, they wanted to make sure that their client was able to be a part of these discussions. But here's what we do know. I'm going to wait for the ambulance to pass real quick. Okay, now we're good.
Sorry, New York is loud, but let's continue. Fair use. A lot is going on, and this is the biggest thing. A lot of that is supposed to be in the transcripts. Let's continue, and I believe she had to remove her machine so she could type what was going on. So people are reading the transcripts on a daily basis at times. Let's continue. Fair use, reaction clip. A lot going on, a lot of distractions.
But as far as just what we do,
It's super loud.
Hold on. Okay.
Until close to maybe 11 o'clock this morning. Now, mind you, court was supposed to start at 9 a.m. this morning, so it really was a significant delay, and a lot of us were kind of scrambling to figure out what was going on. A lot of rumors kind of swirling, so we don't know the full answer, and we were hoping to kind of get an answer about what possibly they were discussing before the lunch break, but it seemed like from both sides, the government and the defense, they kept it tight-lipped. The judge ordered a sidebar. Obviously, that white noise was playing in the background. It was super loud, and we were thinking, okay, after the sidebar is over, maybe they'll talk about it. And then they were like, okay, lunch break, everyone, and so then lunch break happened. So unfortunately, we still don't know the full scope of what was going on, but it seemed like a very important conversation that was being had because it took so long. I think Diddy really wanted to be a part of it because he seemed a little kind of agitated that he didn't know what was going on, and the defense attorneys were kind of shielding him, talking with him, whispering with him as they were kind of trying to figure out on their own end what was happening too.
Well, I'll tell you, the judge upheld this ruling where the identities of these people that were involved in a January 2024 incident, they will not be disclosed. This regarded a trip to Las Vegas where Sean Combs, and this group, including an unnamed rapper, they apparently watched this kind of voyeuristic sex session. This woman who had sex with an entertainer that both she and Combs had used in the past. The judge said that this is not among the alleged acts connected to the sex trafficking charges that Combs faces. So you can see why they made that ruling right there. Okay, this is a really, really important question about the jury. This is from Leg 7K. A question for Elizabeth Milner. Now that the cross-examination for Jane is coming to an end today, have you had any insights and thoughts on the jury's overall reaction to Jane?
The door is opening for you.
Yeah, people kind of side-eyed Jane as she was leaving out, hugging different attorneys. What was that about? At a certain point, she got really upset when they started talking about, Diddy was saying it's cool that you don't want to do a FO, but then he tried to contact somebody to try and make her do an FO. And she was really upset about that because she didn't know about that prior to that.
I don't know how they're feeling about Jane necessarily. I think there were times, maybe during, especially her cross-examination, because I think kind of the issue is we hear one thing under direct and you feel for her, and this kind of applies to other witnesses too, where you really kind of feel for them while they're under direct. But then when you kind of peel back the layers just a little bit more under cross-examination, you're kind of learning more of just the scope of everything. So whether it be the text messages, whether it be in her kind of willingness or alleged willingness to participate in these hotel nights and possibly being fine with them, you feel like you start to kind of learn a little bit more and a little bit deeper under the cross-examination. So, for example, when they were talking today about this unnamed rapper and his girlfriend/wife who was going to Vegas and Jane was going along with them, when the jury saw who this unnamed rapper was, because unfortunately we still aren't able to see the exhibits, I did see one juror in the second row kind of going, interesting. So I feel like as far as just where their heads are at, I don't really know. There are also times where like I'm seeing them kind of either looking away or I'm seeing them looking directly at their screens, but I'm kind of thinking, okay, are they wondering how much longer is this particular witness going to be on the stand? How much longer are they going to continue to hear what feels like the same thing over and over again? And they're probably wondering why there's been so many holdups today as far as court starting, court ending, and just the overall testimony too.
Yeah, they don't have as much information as we do, including how every piece of evidence fits into the overall case. Before I let you go, Elizabeth, we talked about the jurors. Let's talk about Diddy. ATX Stanley asks, question for Elizabeth, what has Diddy been doing while the witnesses testified? Does he stare at them and nod or shake his head or doodle on a notepad? What is he doing?
So from what I could see of him, because I do have a tiny bit of an obstructed view today, but what I have seen of him is he is listening to Jane's testimony. I do see him when he is looking, it's either looking at Mark Agnicola, who's normally sitting right beside him, possibly chatting with Brian Steele at points, who sits on the other side of him, and then kind of passing notes like he normally does, or just looking at Tanny Garagos do her cross-examination of the witness. And so I haven't seen the nodding over at the jury like I've seen him do for other witnesses per se, but he seems to, as far as just the events that happened this morning, it seems like he's still kind of listening to all the testimony, and if there's anything that they want to be asking, Diddy's definitely writing down that in a note, passing it off to his attorney so that way they can pass it off to Tanny Garagos.
Elizabeth Milner, I know you have to jump back into court. Thank you so much. I'm going to see you later for our sidebar, our recap of the entire day's testimony and events. I'll catch you then. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Appreciate you all for being here. Let's continue. Fair use.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, so I'm going to continue the conversation, and I'll get back to the question that came before about, has your opinion changed? But before we do that, Safa, this is really interesting. So the judge said that there is a certain audio recording from December 2023 that is not going to be allowed into evidence. And the prosecutor here had argued that by that time, so Cassie had already filed her lawsuit, that Combs was allegedly making a record, maybe a video record, an audio record, that he was trying to paint a certain narrative, that he was trying to craft a narrative about what was going on with Jane, and it's a self-serving false narrative in the recording. And if that's true, I'm surprised that he wouldn't allow it in, but also, doesn't that go into other allegations that we've heard before? I mean, Mia testified that D-Rock, Sean Combs' former bodyguard, had reached out to her after Cassie's lawsuit, was kind of trying to seem to suggest that, everything that was going on with Cassie and Sean, it was all normal. It was a typical relationship, right? And that he was trying to get Combs to reach out to her. And he's already been accused of trying to influence witnesses and reach out to them and tamper with testimony. I mean, look, doesn't that make up something?
And that's the thing. Will we hear from D-Rock? Will we hear from KK? Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
The racketeering charges that he faces, the racketeering charge that he faces. So I find it interesting that the judge wouldn't allow this in because it seems quite relevant to the case.
I would think that it would be relevant. There's certainly evidentiary reasons that the judge may not have allowed it in. I think that whatever the note or recording might indicate could, of course, be something that would reflect possible witness tampering. But at the end of the day, if the government had had this item in their possession, I assume that they would have included it in a superseding indictment against Mr. Combs, and to date, they still have not. So that's one thing. Not only that, but with respect to the voice note, one of the things that comes to my mind is, was it completed so that he could turn that over to his attorneys for legal representation or for legal purposes? And of course, correspondence between us and our clients, they're confidential and privileged. So could that be the issue? The first things first that the court is going to look at with regard to any piece of evidence that comes in is it relevant? This certainly could be relevant. Then the court will do the balancing test of whether it's probative or versus prejudicial, things of that nature, and any other further inquiry that the court needs to make to determine if this is a piece of evidence that could come in, and also could it be properly authenticated. So anything that comes in, videos, voice notes, things of that nature, they need to be properly authenticated. If this is Mr. Combs just making a note to himself with regard to, his defense and things like that, and he's not going to get on the stand to testify, then how does the government try to get that in? So that.
Please like the video. Please like the video. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Paris. Good morning. How are you? Paris, a lot going on outside of. If you don't know, you and I've talked. There's a lot going on and a lot of stuff I can't post because I'm still trying to maintain Jane's identity as being secret. But there's a lot going on, and some people are exposing. I'm not going to. Got to be careful on this side. But you know what I'm talking about. Jane is to be anonymous. Jane is to be anonymous. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Good morning. Good morning.
That would be my possible reasoning as to why this is not going to be allowed for the moment, at least.
Dave, it's come out that we believe the prosecution's last witness, or maybe their last witness, will be a summary witness. So Danny asks, what is a summary witness?
Da 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 da. That dang old music could get me in trouble. Dang on it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not, and nobody display the name in the chat. We're going to remain that Jane is anonymous. There's a lot going on, a lot of distractions, y'all. And we talked about that several weeks before. Like the video, like the video. Fair use reaction clip. Yeah, that doggone music.
Really appreciated Safa's comments just now. I think she's right on, because I didn't understand why they wouldn't be allowed to introduce that clear probative evidence against Diddy. And as far as the summary, well, you know, when you put on a case, you like to have someone who's a storyteller who can lead you through all the events of the case. And then at the end, you may want someone to be able to sum it up, someone who can connect dots, someone who is not just there for one small segmented reason, but who has knowledge about everything. You know who would have knowledge about everything is KK, but she's not alive.
I'll talk about KK in a second because we got a question coming in about this. But Dave, does it have to do anything with, like, there's a series of charts, or there's so much voluminous evidence that they kind of summarize it in a way? Because you can't just go through every piece of it. Is that what a summary witness might do as well? And if so, I'm not entirely sure what all the charts would be.
No, it's not like an expert who then just does the job of the attorney. That's what closing argument is for.
Right.
The closing argument is when you summarize it, you can bring out your charts and the demonstrative exhibits. But no, the witness would just be someone who has something to offer, some probative information to offer. But
and I also think that there's a better way to make sure that the Jane Does are anonymous. Maybe they speak from a separate room. You know what I mean? Maybe they speak from a separate room and their face is blurred out, but something needs to happen, because I don't know who's taking the stand next. I'll find out, I'm sure, sometime today, but there's definitely a lot going on. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Tie everything together. That's what they're talking about here.
Okay, Rich, you ready for this? Talk so much about KK, Christina Korn, who's been brought up so many times. I love our audience, Rich. I love our audience because they're so in tune. They have
also, Paris, did you catch when Jane Doe was leaving, everybody was in awe of how she hugged some of the attorneys leaving out, and how Diddy was telling her it's okay if you don't want to do an FO, but then she came to find out that he was trying to press one of the people that connected with her before to contact her and try and get her to do an FO. A lot was going on yesterday. A lot. She was very frustrated about the questioning, the cross-examine, how she was talking to the attorneys. It was a lot yesterday. And then the delays yesterday, the day before. So there's a lot going on. Fair use reaction clip. And then there might be so much distractions because of who might be testifying next. That might be it too. And remember how I was saying that it's interesting that we don't have a person that took decent notes. We don't have any voice recordings. Now there's a lot of voice recordings that's going out in regards to Diddy stating different things to Jane Doe, calling her the pipe. Interesting. Fair use reaction clip.
Such good questions, and they make such good points in our polls too. We put a poll up. Who do you think the defense's first witness is going to be? 62% say Christina Korn. We have 17% who say Stevie J. 11% say Alex Fine. This is Cassie Ventura Fine's husband. Ready for this? 8% say Diddy, that he's going to take the stand. But 62% think, we've been talking so much, Christina Korn has to be a prosecution witness. She going to be a defense witness?
To say what? I mean, first of all, what is she going to say in his defense that would be helpful? And second of all, if the prosecution doesn't call her, you're really going to put her on the stand and have her be cross-examined by the prosecution? That's your strategy? I just don't see that happening. I don't know what she would offer that would be useful defense evidence, and I don't know how that would outweigh what would probably happen on cross.
Let me tell you this. If they call her, she's like, there was no, I'm not saying she'd say it in this way, but basically, There's no criminal enterprise. There's no criminal agreement. He was doing his things. We helped him here and there, but I didn't know what he was up to. Yeah, we set up hotel rooms. We thought it was for him and Cassie. We didn't know who was getting involved with it. We stayed kind of out of that. Covering up crimes, not really. Like, if she was supposed to be the connective tissue for racketeering, and she's not that, it makes me wonder, that's maybe why the prosecution didn't want to call her? I don't know.
Well, by the way, so think about the optics of this, right? The defense calls her. So now she is acting on behalf of Sean Combs as a witness for his defense. And they cross-examine her. And I think that makes it even stronger that she's connected to the alleged criminal enterprise and the alleged criminal conspiracy, because now you have her at trial testifying on their behalf. Whereas if the prosecution calls her as a witness, then there's some thought, oh, maybe she's made a deal with the prosecution. Maybe she's turned on Diddy. Maybe she's doing this to save her hide. If she testifies for Diddy, she doesn't have any of that.
Yeah. Well, I'll throw this to Alex, our producer, just asked, and I'll throw this to you, Safa. Could KK be called as a rebuttal witness after the defense? Oh, well,
Not sure who you want to answer.
well, I threw it to you. I threw it to you, Safa. But look, I got to say, Dave has been jumping up and down about that. So let me throw it to Dave first.
Oh, no,
Oh,
it's Dave.
No, I think yes. I think she's not going to be called as the defense's first witness. She's not going to be called as a defense witness. So I agree with Lawful Riches, by the way, that's his Twitter handle. I agree with Lawful Riches on that one 100%. I'm surprised that our audience would say like 68% said that she would be the first witness. That doesn't make sense. But would she be a rebuttal witness for the prosecution? Yeah, very possibly. I think she is that thing that hangs over the defense. Better watch out what you say, because we're going to bring her in, and she's going to do great damage to you guys because she knows everything.
With over 80,000 five-star reviews.
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Whoever takes the stand, some of these people that worked for Diddy, some of their names have been mentioned that either the girlfriends had contacted for help or the employees had contacted people for help. So that's going to be interesting. If these people take the stand, if their name were mentioned by people that already took the stand, it's going to be interesting how they try to speak up. Do you recall so-and-so girlfriend saying this to you? Do you recall an employee saying this to you? So that's going to be interesting, that whoever takes the stand, they have to be cautious. And I hope they were listening to what people were saying about them for the people that allegedly work for Diddy. That's going to be interesting as well. Okay, fair use reaction clip. Yeah, so, ooh-wee. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, ooh-wee. Hold on one second. Fair use reaction clip. Please like the video, you guys. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications.
To complete their cross-examination of his ex-girlfriend this morning, the woman going by the pseudonym Jane became emotional in court yesterday when she read loving messages between her and Combs. She was also questioned about their drug use at a so-called sobriety party in 2023. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges against him. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins us once again outside the courthouse there in Lower Manhattan. Katrina, good morning to you. What is the defense trying to prove here with its cross-examination of Jane? Because things really did get emotional yesterday.
Yeah, Errol, they really did. Jane has cried a lot on the stand. It's clear that she's still in love with Sean Combs. She has actually said that on the stand. But what the defense is really trying to show is that she was a willing participant here. That even if she has remorse about these acts that she participated in, she chose to do them. She knew what her partner liked, and she wanted to please him. So many times yesterday, Jane answered, unfortunately, yes, when the defense was asking her questions, when they were talking about nights that she was a part of and how she chose to be a part of them. So really, they want to negate this idea that the prosecution is trying to show that she was lied to or that there was some kind of coercion for her to participate in these sex acts, because that goes to their sex trafficking charge. What the defense wants to show is that she was jealous of his other relationships, that she chose to do this, and that she was really and is still really in love with him, Errol.
And Katrina, the judge is now considering the prosecution's request to remove one of the jurors. Why is that?
So we haven't gotten that many details on it, but what the government has said is they believe juror number 6 has a lack of candor. That could potentially mean that they feel like during the voir dire of jury selection, that juror wasn't completely honest, but we don't know for sure what they're implying. The defense, on the other hand, wants this juror to stay, Errol. They've called this a thinly veiled attempt to try to get rid of a black juror.
All right, Katrina Kaufman with more of the details from inside the courthouse. Katrina, thanks.
So
Okay.
apparently I'm not 23 years old.
So we've talked about that in regards to them trying to get rid of a certain juror, because like I said, in the beginning, they were writing a lot of notes and they seemed in tune and listening to the testimony and writing a bunch of stuff. Now they're stating allege, They seem disinterested, maybe because certain stuff is repetitive, but they are definitely trying to get rid of a certain juror. They are. And will that happen? See, that's the other thing that the judge is dealing with a lot. Diddy's team requesting a mistrial. Then they're trying to say, let's get rid of a juror. So that's why I was telling you guys that there's so much going on that the judge is probably oh, this is the other thing too. When there was certain delays, some of the attorneys were becoming very frustrated in regards to the delays, and they were showing reaction, slumping over into their chairs, and um, Jane seeming to cry at the drop of a dime, but then when she's cross examined, she has to remain strong. But then when Jane finds out that certain things are done behind her back, you could tell she becomes very frustrated. So the questioning has been a question, and the judge has kind of gotten frustrated with certain things that's being questioned to Jane Doe and how it's being asked, and certain buzzwords that's dropped onto Jane Doe. There's a lot of objections because if there is an appeal, we objected to that, we objected to that, we objected to that. Diddy's team is doing their job. They are. And they're paid a lot. They're paid a lot. So there's a lot of emotions that's going on. People having to relive a situation in regards to a relationship that may have been over and done with for years. And then women that are dating him now realizing that he allegedly paid Cassie, and he did. He paid Cassie XYZ, and then some of the women that's dating him, certain alleged people getting allowances, getting cars, getting shopping sprees, and other women that stood by or helped or assist aren't getting the same thing. So, did Diddy change because of the Cassie lawsuit? Some are saying he kind of did. That's what Jane is alluding to. He became nicer. He was spending quality time with her. There wasn't as many hotel events. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, y'all. There's a lot going on. So we're gonna find out later on today who's gonna take the stand. For a while, they would mention who would take the stand next, but then I think since there's so many distractions, not a lot of us have found out, but I'm sure by now people are talking about it. I'm just updating you guys from yesterday and today and what was being alleged in regards to Jane Doe's demeanor, Diddy's demeanor, and their relationship. And is she being is she hoping to still have a relationship after this? Because it's interesting that Diddy was still paying her rent. Many were saying they kind of was tired of Jane, but if Jane would have never took the stand, we would have never knew that he was still paying her rent. So I guess they're building their case. There's still weeks and weeks to go. Diddy family has been showing up to support him and try to be there for him. But yeah, there's just a lot going on. Hold on one second. Let me see. Hold on. Like the video as you guys come in. Please don't forget to subscribe. I thank everyone for tuning in and being here because a lot of times we don't hear how Diddy's acting in the courtroom. So people have definitely been talking about that. And it is Diddy trying to have, you know, if there is a mistrial, what kind of comeback will he have? Oh, let's go here.
That's great. And he has a lot of insight, and he's going to tell us what he's hearing about whether Sean Combs will be convicted or whether he could possibly walk.
So much stuff going on. So much stuff going on.
Away from all of this. But first, just a quick recap on how we got here. In November of 2023, Sean Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, filed an explosive civil lawsuit claiming years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse by Sean Combs. This is where we first heard the term freak-offs, and we heard about the baby oil and the rest of it. The couple dated for 11 years, finally breaking up in 2018. Combs settled that suit within 1 day of it being filed and denied the allegations Cassie made. It's now come out during the trial that Cassie got $20 million from Sean Combs and $10 million from the hotel where Combs beat her. So the settlement total was $30 million. Months after they settled, the video from the Intercontinental Hotel aired on CNN confirming
that Combs had beaten Cassie. This was after Homeland Security agents raided Combs' homes in Miami and Los Angeles. Sean Combs was arrested in September of 2024 and charged with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The government is essentially accusing Sean Combs of being a gangster, running an enterprise, the Combs Enterprise, and using his business and his employees to cover up and commit crimes, including bribery, extortion, kidnapping, arson, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, forced labor, and obstruction of justice. For his part, Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges, and he maintains he has never sexually assaulted or sex trafficked anyone. So the trial is now well underway, and we've learned through this trial that Cassie's lawsuit basically started this entire federal investigation into Sean Combs. But this isn't Sean Combs' first brush with the law, and it's not his first trial. The first one happened more than 20 years ago. But this...
Like the video, fair use reaction clip. Please continue to hit the like button. If you're watching from a phone, press 1 and keep double tapping the screen. Can we please get to 100 likes? There's about 200 and something in the building. Please subscribe and turn on your notification. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Time around, things are much, much different. Social media is a way to reach millions of people and shape public opinion.
Hold on.
While he was
as has been public opinion.
While he was doing this, he asked her, "Do you know what the F you did?" She showed jurors bruises and cuts on her legs and bandages on her neck and back. There was another incident on the beach where Diddy got in her face and said, "I'm the devil and I could kill you."
That was former prosecutor Nima Rahmani. He's on TikTok. In New York, content creators and social media influencers have converged on the courthouse, and they are busy churning out content about the trial.
He let her threaten somebody's job, didn't he? Allegedly.
From there, the questions transition to what happened before Mia left the company. Some say things are going well for Combs. Others say not so fast.
There was a surprise, okay? The feds have flipped a second witness.
Oh, no.
After signing up, I get virtually no Combs is guilty who are content creators. Are there people down there who are content creators who see more of his point of view? Have you seen any of that?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are on Sean Combs' side. They feel like the government has charged him wrong, or either they overcharged him.
Our content shows just how important personal safety is, and that's especially true when it comes to protecting your privacy online. You would be absolutely shocked at how...
Like the video. Yeah, there's a lot of coverage that's happening, and some of the content creators need to be very careful about the Jane Doe situation and the Mia situation. They have to be very careful and cautious about what's being talked about. And if there is a rapper that was named, and if this is the biggest thing too, y'all, let me bring this home. If there was a rapper that was at the courthouse yesterday, how is it that nobody saw them go in and saw them come out? This rapper, if they're stating this rapper showed up, this rapper loves media attention, clicks, and views, and they love the press. So why would they not walk across the street and talk to the press? So I can't confirm or deny if there was a rapper there yesterday, or if the rapper wants to show up today, or if the rapper wants to show up tomorrow. But I do recall I thought I saw a video of Diddy's family leaving early around the lunchtime. They may have become frustrated because remember, there were so many delays yesterday. And the family may have said, we don't want to just be sitting here. And they might have wanted to leave because of maybe there was a rapper that flew into town. And maybe they just wanted to go to the hotel and sit with them because there were so many delays. We can't confirm or deny if there was a rapper that showed up yesterday, got rejected not to go in yesterday because they love media attention, clicks, and views. So if they were turned away, that person would have loved to walk across the street and say, hey, they turned me away. I want to go in to support. So I can't confirm or deny that. My page is a little different. I see things from all sides because I look at a person, how they are always and how people are trying to perceive them to be, that they got turned away. They would have went to the press across the street saying, look, I tried to go in to support and I'm told I can't go in. So if there is a rapper that is just in town and maybe they just want to be within and maybe they are supporting and helping the family in a certain way. But that's the biggest thing. You got to watch the play, because if you got to look at a person's character of how that rapper is, if that's who they're saying it is, because a lot's being said in regards to Jane Doe going to an event alleged outside of Diddy, and how the alleged rapper was flirting with. So he might have said, well, I think we're cool, but you tried to flirt with my girl. So that's alleged. So we can't confirm or deny who the rapper is, because then that's outing that rapper and that's outing Jane. A lot going on, y'all. I'm telling y'all. I sometimes have to listen to headphones because my family don't want to deal with what I got to deal with, so I can talk to y'all about what's happening. So there's more to come. There's more to come. There's more to come. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
At incogni.com/crimefix for
Hold on.
60% off, 50,000 for Eddie and another hotel employee. The feds say that was bribery and it was a predicate act under the racketeering conspiracy. So how damaging is that testimony? I asked attorney Philip Dubé.
Remember, the crux of RICO is that you are operating an enterprise. In this case, they're alleging he's the mob boss to a criminal enterprise, and that predicate offenses are being committed during the course and scope of this enterprise. And I'll give you that. It sounds like a bribery. But if you think about it, it looks like he's just trying to protect his reputation, but it's not necessarily in the name of the enterprise. It's in his individual capacity as Sean Diddy Combs. So I think it falls short of what the federal RICO statute calls for. Now, does it mean that the prosecution can't make that out? Not at all. They have the goods, they've got the video, they've got the witness saying that he offered me this money. It's now for the jury to decide if they feel it is a bribery within the meaning of RICO, or if it was a bribery within the meaning of the California Penal Code, where the DA's office never filed. If they would have been presented with a report from the LAPD that this employee had been bribed, they could have filed charges. This was years ago. So what does that mean? It means that the statute of limitations is long past. And when you cannot get these defendants stateside, you try to go after them federally. And they use the RICO and the human trafficking and the transportation statutes as creative ways to get around the lapsed statutes of limitation. And for now, we have to wait and see what a jury is going to do with it.
Like the video, like the video. Fair use reaction clip. Y'all let me know how y'all feel that the trial is going. Messy, distracting, people that are just having relations, toxic. Do you think both sides are doing well presenting? Let's continue. Fair use reactions clip.
Much different. I'd argue the stakes.
Press 3 if you know where you're watching from. Press 3 if you know where you're watching from. Press 5 you've been here before where you're watching from. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button and continue to hit the like button. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Are even higher this time. Remember, Sean Combs was charged in the shooting at Club New York in Manhattan. Combs was at the club with his then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, his bodyguard Wolf Jones, and rapper Shine Barrow. A woman named Natanya Rubin was shot in the face but survived. Natanya Rubin swears to this day that Sean Combs is the person who shot her. But a jury acquitted Combs at the trial and found Shine guilty. Shine was sentenced to 10 years in prison and now says he was the fall guy. After Combs' acquittal at that trial in 2001, he rebranded. 2 weeks after the verdict, Combs announced he wanted to be called P. Diddy, no more Puff Daddy. He started a show on MTV, making the band. His Sean John clothing line expanded, and there were other business ventures.
I get what you're saying, Paris, because when we look at the scope of the alleged lawsuits, will we hear more of that? Does that make sense? So it's kind of interesting. Are those lawsuits factual, fiction, or they were trying to get a bag like Cassie? You know what I'm saying? So that's a concern too. The different types of relationships. There's more relationships than just the 4 or 5. There's more employees than just 4 or 5. There's more people. Why did they stretch it out so long and not have more people testify? You get 1 day, you get 2 days, you get, 3 days, but it's almost like it's being stretched to me. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Martha Stewart even wrote about attending Combs' 40th birthday party on her blog. And how nice.
This is the other thing I'll say, Paris, that they're saying is there more to come about other people. And that's why they have to be cautious about other people. I'll be general there. And this is him in jail. Why aren't there more people in jail with him? Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
It was. Yes, Martha Stewart. Sean Combs totally rebranded himself into a businessman after that nightclub shooting. And now, here we are. So I want to bring in somebody who knows a lot about doing publicity for Sean Combs. He's his former publicist, Rob Shooter. He is the host of the Naughty But Nice podcast. You can also check out Rob Shooter's Naughty But Nice on Substack. Check it out. It's great. Rob, first of all, how do you think this trial is going so far from a PR perspective for Sean Combs?
I've been following it really, really closely. I'm on a text exchange with several people who used to work for Puff, and we have a really different opinion. Some of us think that Puff is going to walk away from this, and some of us think he is not. But I think that's what makes this so interesting. There's no clear outcome. We have seen celebrity trials before, and we think we know what's going to happen. I'm not sure here. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Some days I think Puff does really well. Other days I think the evidence is just damning. And so I don't know what these 12 jurors are ultimately going to decide.
That's interesting that you say that, because I've talked to people who basically say they do think he's going to walk away from this, that he will not be convicted of racketeering and things like that. And then, you know, it's weird though, because he'll have a good day in court. It's you hear that the jurors, at least maybe 5 or 6 of them, look like they're, from what I'm hearing, almost cheering on Brian Steele as he's cross-examining Mia. You know, this is what I'm getting from people I trust in the courtroom. And then I hear, after they're listening to the testimony from Eddie the Angel, the guy that, you know, picked up the money and the cash in the bag for the hotel video, that the jurors looked more solemn. And more.
Yeah, there's so much that both of us want to say, but I'm cautious. You're cautious. But when we look at the scope of the lawsuits, and it's almost like they're dragging it. There should be more people testifying, and I think there should not be so much repetitiveness in regards to Jane. But that's the biggest thing. If one of the witnesses is MIA, how is that possible that you're MIA and this case is such a big case? And why are they not addressing that again, that we're going to get her here today? You can't just not testify. That's huge too. So there's so much going on. And see, me and you are so smart that we see that there's so much going on, and there's stuff that we're seeing that we really can't talk about because we need to protect Jane. But there's one that's MIA. There's one that's MIA. And I think daily they need to address that. She's coming. Her attorney addressed it. Even if she has to Skype in, you can't just run away from not speaking. And that's something me and you talked about too, that there's so much possible parallel in regards to Cassie and her. So if you're MIA, can that person have an issue too because you went MIA? So much going on. Yeah, that's a big thing too. It seems as if they're seeking the mistrial and may possibly get one because there is so much going on. Hugging different attorneys as you're leaving out, and then people are like gasping and in awe and covering their mouths like, why are you hugging people? Interesting reactions that's going on in the court. Let's continue. Fair use. And the long repetitiveness is making the people inside the court frustrated. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
We're serious and like, whoa, they were really hearing something that sounds kind of mobbish. So,
and to hear from people that work for him. I think, okay, let's do the girlfriends, let's do the employees, let's do the people that they hired, but let's get 2 people that worked for him. Let's get them on the stand. So you figure there's what, maybe 3 weeks left, 4 weeks left. There's a lot still to be told. And I think they need to condense it and make it more powerful on the stand. And these people aren't the ones that's in jail. He is. But you're coming at them in ways that people are like, okay, what is that doing for y'all? Let's continue. Let's get more people on the stand to make this a solid case, because it's just him that y'all talking about. He didn't work by himself for years. There's businesses here. There's people I'm not even gonna go there. I gotta be careful. Fair use reaction clip. Let me see what you're saying.
So you're saying it's a mixed bag among people who used to work for Sean Combs about how this is going.
Yeah, we're not sure.
Yeah, that's concerning. It's concerning. A lot of stuff is just side eye and questionable. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Side eye a lot of stuff because me and you see the outside stuff too. Fair use reaction clip.
how this is going to go. But, I've done publicity media for a really long time. You don't have to work in the media or be a celebrity or a publicist to understand this. When you're with a friend and they tell you one story, you generally believe them. And then you go and talk to another friend and they tell you the different story, and then you believe them. So in the moment, the reaction from the jury, I don't think we should be focusing on that. It's big picture. What's the big takeaway? And I think it's emotional too. When they go home, and I know they're not meant to speak about this, but they do and they think about it. What is the big picture here? So the individual evidence is either damning or actually quite helpful, but what is the big picture?
So the question is, too, is he also paying, I'm going to be general, is he paying, okay, let me be general that way. Is he also paying other people rent and also paying other people's attorneys? So could that be an issue that would come into court, that you changed after Cassie and then you were kinder to both these young women? So that's the big question too. Is that why? There's a reason why there's a person that's MIA and what that means further. And can you just go MIA and nobody talk about it? That's I don't know. Fair use, ration clip.
And I don't have the answer for that.
That's very interesting you bring that up as well, because the jurors are not supposed to watch the news. However, and we don't have cameras in this courtroom, but that almost makes the news more important, because I'm sure that Sean Combs is a guy who's very in tune with how important public perception is and how important image is. So how important is public perception and shaping it when it comes to a high profile criminal trial like this? I mean, this guy, if he's convicted, he's going away likely for the rest of his life. So
yes,
even though you've got the 12 people in the box and their opinion is what matters, how important is that public perception part of this?
Do you need a loan for your
Fair
business?
use reaction clip. Fair use reaction clip. Yeah, a lot going on. And in my page, I'm going to protect my page. I'm going to protect what I'm saying. You guys, I'm sure, are not smart enough to know that there's a lot going on in regards to the trial, the delays, the objections, because they're at one point, if something does happen, they're going to want to appeal. If they do send him to jail, they're going to want to appeal it. So that's why there's so many objections. And the judge, it takes a lot for a judge to be this patient, to try and keep all this in a way that it doesn't make him look bad. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Trials at the moment, one in the public arena, what we think about him, and also two for those 12 members.
And then people are often asking if he'll take the stand. And if he takes the stand, for him to be cross-examined, hello, if he takes the stand and he becomes cross-examined, there's going to be a lot of said and done, and other stuff could be brought up. Other situations could be brought up. And do you feel that you were able to keep things out of the media? And why didn't some of your alleged people go to, and that's the other thing too, the people that took the stand, why did you never feel that you go to police? Why did you never feel that you go to the hospital? If you were taken advantage of, a kit would help to say this happened in regards to you. But maybe they were kept so busy that they couldn't have gone to no emergency. That's the other thing too. You got to watch the play in regards to a person that you're dealing with. Yeah, he has money left. Yeah, he has money left, because remember, he has the jet that he's allegedly leasing out. But see, if he's found guilty, they're going to try and take a lot of his money. That's why he's trying so hard not to be found guilty and go to jail for years and years and years. If he goes to jail for years and years and years, 5 years, whatever, they're going to try and drain his bank account. So that's why he's trying so hard, with all the great lawyers that he has, with him trying to, bail out if they find him guilty. But it only takes one juror to say not guilty. So that's why he's trying so hard to protect his assets. There's other stuff I want to say, but I might say it at a later date. Once when the final week comes, we're going to find out a lot. And after that final week, once whatever happens, then the next 2 weeks are going to be interesting too. I'll just say it that way. Fair use reaction clip.
of the jury. We know now just from evidence that just 3-4 weeks after Puffy was arrested and jailed, he was thinking about a PR campaign around his birthday. That's who he is. I was a young guy when I started to work with Puffy. It was over 20 years ago. He was my first major client. I went on to represent Alicia Keys, Jennifer Lopez, Jessica Simpson, tons of big celebrities, but Puffy was the first. And the reason I was so good at it is because Puffy trained me, even though I was his publicist.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Yeah, we're kind of doing conversations, but you guys are smart. My page is a little different because we think outside the box, that there's a lot going on inside the court, outside the court, and what's going to transpire after there's a verdict. So let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
I really wasn't. He was his own publicist, and I was implementing his plan. So I believe that his fingerprints are going to be all over this trial. He's going to direct what he wants, not just in PR, but also...
Yeah, them ladies are smart. Real talk. I try not to mention some of the lawyers' names, but there's a lot of them that are very smart, direct, and they kind of gut punch you with certain questions. And then for them to ask Jane to just do yes or no and not give more explanation, I wouldn't be able to do that. I got to give an explanation. You just can't get a yes or no out of me. Hello, let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
To his lawyers, and it's difficult to argue with that. Somebody who's made almost $1 billion are very confident about their own voice. Big celebrities that I've worked for, or very wealthy people, have a lot of confidence, and they should, because they have proved to everybody, they've proven to everybody that they know what they're doing. And so for Puffy to give up control is almost impossible. He's going to be running the show, and it's 2 campaigns. One campaign to the 12 members of the jury.
I get what you're saying. I do. See, that's why they're trying to, when you're cross-examined, that's why they're trying to, okay, you said this 2 days ago, but now today you're saying something different. Okay, this is what your message said. Well, if you cared about him and you wanted to spend more time with him, why was you taking the money? And are you catching how they're asking the people to get away from the FOs? Would you have tried to sue him? So there's a lot that's happening on Diddy's side and the people that's entangled with him because they were still trying to love on him, but you're saying that you didn't want to do it anymore, but you kept doing it. But then you're sending him messages, I love you, I miss you, I care for you, I want to spend time with you. So there's a lot going on. And that's why the cross-examines are very interesting of what's happening to the people on the stand. That may be why people don't want to take the stand, because the cross-examines are brutal. Fair use reaction clip.
Another campaign to the rest of the world.
You know, looking back on this, and you talked about how you learned at his feet, essentially, and he was good at it. I feel like, you know, I remember back when that trial happened for the nightclub shooting, and he walked away from that with an acquittal, and Shine ended up going to prison for a number of years. And when that whole thing happened, I felt like Sean Combs, his image, I mean, he was involved in something really awful. Somebody was, you know, a shooting at a nightclub. It was horrendous. Yeah. And so he really had this image of somebody who was trying to look good, but...
And somebody that's controlled certain things for so many years, 20 plus years, you don't think that he's making sure the attorneys are saying XYZ, this is how you get under this person's skin? He knows the women he was dealing with. He knew the employees he was dealing with, and he knows how to get up under their skin. These attorneys don't know these people, but he does. The control part of this situation is interesting. The toxicity of this situation is interesting. Who else of a celebrity do you know you want to lend your girl out to sleep with men, and you're not making sure that person's protected? Some of the women were entangled in a situation 3 or 4 times a night. No, 2 to 3 times a night. And a woman is sitting up sore, and then you're posted up with another chick. And then you go back to him. My goodness. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Almost had still like a gangster kind of image, like a veneer on him. And then it seemed like after that trial, he tried to rewrite his story, and he did largely. He stopped going by Puffy, starts calling himself Diddy or whatever. And then that's when it's like, I'm the businessman. And he really cultivated that image of...
Your butt hurts.
Another commercial. The control of it all. The control of it all. He didn't want to get his hands dirty. He knew how not to get his hands dirty. The control of it all. Fair use reaction clip.
He does records, but I do clothes. I'm a fashion designer. Sean John, I got this thing going on with Macy's, hanging out with Martha Stewart, for goodness sakes. I mean, like, did you kind of see that evolution with him?
Yeah, I'm ashamed to admit that I was part of that. I was part of that campaign to cover up the truth. Puffy really had to walk a tightrope here. He didn't want to alienate the people that bought his music, and so he had to have a swagger about him, but he also, too, did not want to alienate Anna Wintour, Clive Davis at the record label, these big wigs who wanted somebody quite respectable, and so Puffy knew how to do both really very well. I think it's important to remember, too, he was the first one to do this. Today, every celebrity has a fragrance, a clothing line. They all have these side hustles. Puffy was the first. He was the first successful, really successful celebrity to branch out. And that's what made him so wealthy, so powerful, and so famous.
Right. And that's what stuns me, is because beneath all of that, you know, under that veneer, under the public campaign, the public face, the magazine covers, the cologne campaigns, the Sean John, you know, the whatever, and the white parties, you know, where some of this money, you know, some of this stuff would go to charity and things like that. You have a guy who's addicted to drugs, who's hiding it from the public, who's going on Ellen, and you go back and look at that stuff now and you're kind of like, oh, some of it's very cringe. And then he's doing freak offs in hotels and kicking his girlfriend and doing horrific things. And it all comes crashing down. So if he does walk away from this, Rob, is there a road back for him?
There is. I'm ashamed. I'm horrified to admit it. In Hollywood, I now am a celebrity reporter, a columnist. So now I'm no longer a publicist. Now I follow the industry from a different angle. There is a way back, and I think of lots of different disgraced celebrities that have made somewhat of a comeback. Do I ever think he will be invited to the Met Ball ever again? No. Do I ever think he'll be invited to the Oscars to present again? No. But he will have a career after this. We've seen it with people like Michael Jackson. We've seen it with other celebrities, with directors who have been accused of terrible things. This is the dirty secret about the celebrity business. It's about money. And if you make money, there is a way for you to come back. So after this, he could be potentially more successful in certain areas of his business. We've seen his...
But he should not. There's no way. I'm not going to co-sign that. He should not be more successful. He lost a lot. The Sean John, the alcohol, he lost a lot. I don't know what this guy is talking about. When people find out that you're that type of person in a relationship and as an employer, having a girl work for 5 days and then she starts acting out and you're saying, okay, now you can go to sleep. What? No, he is going to change in a big way because he don't want no more lawsuits. He doesn't want a lawsuit. He changed after the Cassie situation. He doesn't want a lawsuit from Jane, because I don't think Jane has filed a lawsuit. Some of the other people that took a stand, that did take the stand, has lawsuits against him, or they won or they settled. So that's the biggest thing too. He will change. He has to change. He not dumb. He don't want to go through this again. Employees complaining, girlfriends complaining. No, his life will be forever changed, just like all the others that have had situations. Of course, he has to say that because I think my page is a little different. I bring it to y'all straight. I ain't gonna sit and lie to you and say, oh, well, and then that's the other thing too. Certain pages are switching up. I don't know if y'all notice it. I notice it. But nobody wants that as a girl dating a guy and sleeping with other people. No one wants to be an employee and you're having concerns with a boss keeping you up for 5 days straight. And then they start acting cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay, girl, you need to go to sleep because you might do something weird to me. No, that person should have been able to sleep. So many lives, so many careers. I can't switch up. I don't know how to be fake. I just can't do it. It's concerning to me when guys are like, well, dude, if that was your mama, if that was your sister, you wouldn't like it. Stop playing in people's faces. So I turned off a lot of people I used to like or listen to. Stop playing. There ain't no way. And with Cassie, I feel that at some point, he laid hands. The second time it came, She should have been on that dude. He wouldn't have never touched her again. But this is the one thing that we need to realize for women. Once there's a situation, one and two, the third and the fourth time, it gets worse. You got to be able to stand up for yourself regarding a dude, a guy that is touching you in unwanted ways. With Cassie, things got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And women have to make sure this is a bad situation. I got to escape. This is why we cover it. And this is why we talk about how Jane is talking, how the testimonies are talking. And I told y'all, watch how the cross examine goes. They're going to try and make them look like the liar and he's cool. What? And this is the thing, to support and be his lawyer. How do you sleep at night? Real talk. I'm sorry. How do you sleep at night? So you would be cool if this dude dated your daughter. You would be cool if this dude dated your mama. You would be cool if this dude dated your aunt. You would be cool if your mama went to go work for him. You would be cool if your mama went to go work for him. You'd be cool if your aunt went to go work for him. Stop playing. I can't. If what's being alleged, like I said, innocent till proven guilty, what's being alleged from these people that's taking the stand, what's being reported is concerning. Real talk. Real talk. So, I have an appointment I have to get to. I had to cut him off because Diddy is very crafty. And he's been able to get away with a lot of stuff. That's why I say allege. The women that's been in his life is a toxic situation. He's been able to control their minds, control their money allegedly, control their minds allegedly, control their money allegedly. And now, at first, I used to not like blind items. Now, blind items might help people in relationship and stay away from people in the industry. The industry needed to be exposed. The industry needed to be exposed. There's stuff going on in the music industry, in the movie industry, and sports. There's stuff that's going on. This may makes people not disrespect relationships in a way that, is being alleged. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So we cover what's going on in the trial. I retrieved the information from the news because they're going to give us right, direct information. Crafty. Crafty. And that other word you used too, that started with an N. Sometimes the people that are that mind frame, that's why they say he don't sleep, because he's always possibly thinking of the next move. Who can I be crafty with? What can I do? Remember the video when he's on the phone? I can get whatever I want, and he's trying to hang it up, and then he noticed, did I hang up on that person properly? Did they hear me say I can get whatever I want? Did y'all see that video when he's saying I can get whatever I want, and he realizes he hanging it up, but did I hang it up the right way? Did they hear me? You seen the panic in his face. Yeah, that's the other thing too. The substances. The women that noticed that he was on substances, that's why there were so many highs and lows, and they should have got out. Yes. Hurtful of the careers, hurtful that some of these people are in counseling because of the mind games, the mind control. People got to be cautious, careful. And I tell y'all all the time, if you're an employee and there's concerns, make a note in your phone, send stuff to another phone at your home, do whatever you got to do to protect yourself, because people are something else. They'll play in your face and act like you don't know. And that's why I say focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. I've been saying that probably for a year. It's important to protect yourself, protect your children, and protect your loved ones. Check on your people. Yeah. Yeah. I normally did. Sometimes when bosses were trying to affect My raise, I said, well, did you know this happened on this day? Did you know this happened on this day? Did you know this happened on this day? Oh, well, let me go ahead and let me check on management. You told management, yes, they knew about this, and this. Okay. Well, we thought we was only gonna give you 50 cents. We're giving you your $2 because you deserve it. You told them and they didn't tell us yes. I always make sure I protected myself. You're not gonna play in my face. But see, that's the other thing. People want you to react, so you get in trouble. You gotta be able to control yourself because that's the other play. They want to do stuff. See, that's the other thing. When these people are getting on the stand, why were you still kind to Diddy? Why were you sending him loving messages? Why were you saying happy holidays and all this other stuff? They wanted to stay within the industry. And see, this is the other thing. He tries to seem very positive and kind. Look how many names he had. Think about that, you guys. P. Diddy, Sean John, Puff, then to Love, because he knew he was being watched. Watch the play. Watch the play. Watch the play. And then this is the biggest thing. Who will he date next if he do get out? Who will he date next? And allege, has any of these women went up to visit him? That's the other thing I want to know. For these women that allegedly, even now, for Jane, did she go up to visit? It was being alleged she hadn't talked to for years. But and also in regards to the time together, the hotel events, and then playing in the sloppy seconds. Baby, I cannot. I cannot. Women, be careful. Men are crafty. They want you to do what they want you to do to feed their need. Men sometimes want to be serviced. It needs to be a loving, kind, healthy relationship. People say, why you do it? Sometimes I don't even feel like it, but this is helping women, mothers, daughters, men, women. It's helping them in the relationship. Some women are staying away from their ex-boyfriends right now because they're hearing what this man has done, alleged done. Baby, okay. I appreciate y'all for being here. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I will hear more, see more. I appreciate some of the people I listen to at night because they bring it. They give me an eye view of what's happening in that courtroom, how he's looking, reacting, the body language, people hugging different attorneys as you're walking out. Where they do that at? Yeah. Ooh, we. So there's a lot going on. We're going to see what's happening next. I just wanted to update y'all on yesterday. This morning I heard a few different things, but nothing that's like solid. I didn't really see who was going in the courtroom today. Sometimes I'll try and see who's going in the courtroom. But yeah, there's 3 more weeks of this, y'all. Yeah, there's so much going on. And pretty much his mom has tried to be there every day. His mom has tried to be there almost every day. And for a mom have to hear how the girls were treated, how the employees were treated, and then let's hear people that he worked with. And even if they're on, they're up there for 4 hours. Let's hear what the people had to say that worked for him. Even they're up there for 4 hours. Let's get to it. Chop chop. Chop chop. Let's move forward. See, my page is a little different. I go really fast. So some people that's kind of they can't keep up. I want them to, the Jane Doe people were tired of Jane Doe 2 or 3 days ago. They wanted her to leave the stand 2 or 3 days ago. So I appreciate y'all. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. And then I found a new person to listen to, and they had me cracking up. So I appreciate the commentary people that try to bring it to us in regards to them reading the inner city press. So I listen to stuff outside so I can bring it to y'all. But I'm not gonna be live for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours. I just can't. I got other stuff to do. But I bring whatever y'all can to y'all. The most, yeah. Check out Instagram. There's a lot going on. Check out Instagram. There's a lot going on. And you gotta know what's going on so you don't mess up your page. Yeah, I appreciate you too, Paris. A lot going on. Last night I was tickled by that video. And I can't tell y'all, but there's a video that's out there. I was tickled last night. Yeah. Oh, you just downloaded Instagram? Oh, that's why when I said check out what's going on Instagram. Yeah. Last night, a very interesting video. Certain, and see, if you're not paying attention, certain stuff you shouldn't be posting because Jane Doe needs to stay anonymous. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So I appreciate y'all. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. So if there is another Jane Doe, let's see what happens. um, and let's see what happens in regards to if he's still going to pay her rent. You know, and this is the other thing. Who's next to be indicted? Who's next to be indicted? Okay, everyone, have a great day. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. Everyone be blessed. That was wow. Yeah, he was still paying her rent and helping with her attorney fees. And allegedly, she was on Only. I gotta watch what I say. She was on Only, making her own money. And I'm wondering when he got arrested, if that's when she went on Only. And then if she started doing Instagram again. So she was making decent money and he was still paying her rent. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. I think maybe when he went in or around the time Cassie situation happened, she might have been on Only. Mm-hmm. So a lot of us was thinking it was just him paying the rent and the child support. No, she did have her own clothing line as well. He helped her with the clothing line. And see, that's the other thing too. Once the cross comes, that's when we find out more about the person with the cross. Her having her own dress line, him paying the rent, her being on Only, but they should speed all that up too. It's wild. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. So, yeah, let's see. One of my favorites is supposed to be on a radio show. I'm general about stuff. So we'll see how that happens. Some careers have done extremely well covering this. Um, so happy for a lot of people that's doing well. Happy for a lot of people that's doing well covering this. And some are just they still be lying. Still be lying, but here nor there. It ain't for me to, But yeah, some people are doing well covering the trial, being outside the court, inside the court, and the overflow room. So happy for some people and others. If you're lying, you're lying. I don't want to have nothing to do with you. Yeah, happy Friday, y'all. Oh, is it really? Wait a minute. You're right. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you. Everyone be blessed. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Continue to hit that like button, you guys. I hope you subscribed. If you did, thank you. If you hit the like button, thank you. Be blessed. We'll see what happens. It's going to be some deep, deep conversations when there's a verdict. When there's a verdict. Yep. All right, you guys, I got to go. I was supposed to be out of here 30 minutes ago. So I hope you got a lot of information. I pull information for you guys at night so I know what to tell you guys and what to look for, because I still have to protect my page. Be blessed. Focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. See you tomorrow.